Stephen Colbert will take his final bow on The Late Show tonight. The CBS late night program debuted in 1993 with David Letterman. Colbert has hosted it for more than a decade. The network says it's canceling The Late Show for financial reasons, but a lot of people believe the decision actually has to do with Colbert's criticism of Donald Trump, which continued last night.
I like to give good news when we can give good news, and I have some wonderful news for my MAGA viewers. The Trump golden cell phone has finally arrived after a 9-month delay. Now, the only Trump item more disappointing after a 9-month wait was Eric.
Ahead of the final farewell tonight, A-listers like Robert De Niro, Martha Stewart, and Billy Crystal have all stopped by the iconic desk to perform the special Colbert questionnaire and say goodbye. Well, our next guest was a producer on the Colbert Report, which Stephen Colbert hosted before moving to late night. She also wrote an article in Time magazine this week talking about the cultural impact of the host's departure. Rebecca Sofer joins us now live. And Rebecca, you worked with Colbert. How does it feel to see him going off the air tonight?
Oh, thanks so much for having me tonight on such a bittersweet, occasion. How does it feel? Well, I was lucky enough to work with Stephen. I was one of the original staffers on the Colbert Report, which was his Comedy Central show. And, he's just a real good guy. He's just a human person who is trying to help the world become a bit more empathetic. And so the fact that, we're losing that voice as a late night presence in a lot of our living rooms and phones and AirPods every single weeknight, I'm feeling an enormous sense of loss. And I know it's not just the people who have been lucky enough to work with him in person.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about Colbert, the person, because, the media business, and I think in particular the American media business, where there's so much money and potentially so much power for show hosts, sometimes hosts can be monsters. So it sounds like he wasn't. So tell me more about him.
I mean, my experience, I have not worked with Stephen for many, many years. I was lucky enough to see him last week at a taping at the Ed Sullivan and give him a hug. And, it was just this amazing family feeling that we all still have even years later. No, he's not a monster. He's pretty great. He's, just really conversational. He always wants to ask about you, about what's going on in your life. I think kind of like what you see on screen is what you get in real life with him. And I think that's why so many people are just taken by him. He really kind of jumps through whatever screen you're looking at and pulls you in with his sheer curiosity about you and your life and what makes you tick, the good, the bad, the ugly, the ludicrous, and I think that's why we all care for him.
What makes him different from the other late night hosts?
Well, I'm not lucky enough to know the other late night hosts, but I can say that, Stephen in particular for me, I feel like something really special about him is he has this just enormously humanistic approach to late night. And when you think of late night, you think of a lot of shticks, a lot of, little skits and stuff that really has resolution to it. There are answers, there's, cut to commercial, we're done now. And what I love about Stephen's style is that he constantly refuses the expectation that in late night comedy, you can't make space for the hard stuff, for conversations that are about real life. There is room for the silly, there is room for the funny, for the ludicrous, but there's also room for having actual exchanges about hard things that happen to people. And that is just as important as making us laugh with the dumb stuff. And I think that he doesn't try to resolve them. And if he did, that would seem really disingenuous. And I think that's really what makes him stand out. Entertainment is not necessarily an industry that is known for its empathy, I would say. And television really struggles to hold difficult human experience unless it can be turned into something easily digestible. And he just kind of constantly rejects that and constantly proves that, that assumption is wrong.
Really nicely said. You're going to miss him as a person, and we're going to miss him because of the role that he played on late night television. Rebecca Sofer, former producer on the Colbert Report. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.